so far, everybody. Little Karen and I are here. Karen Mills, I love you.
I love you too, Trish, sir.
I'm just so tickled that we get to make this happen. For everybody at home, this is our episode number 2 of What I Know So Far with myself, Trish, sir, Karen Mills, and we are so excited that you guys are listening and liking, which means a lot, right?
Yes, it does. It means so much.
It means a lot because we were so excited to start doing this simply off the fact of we wanted you to know what we know. We wanted you to hear from our friends that we love so much, what they know so far. And if you like the show, please subscribe, follow us. It means the world that you listen and that you tell other people, because we're tickled too that you like it like we like doing it. And it's new to us. Kay and I were just talking about how it's, I don't want to say easy, but we love getting on stage and doing stand-up. That's like second nature. But getting on a podcast every time feels like the first day of school.
It really does. And most people's biggest fear is stand-up. That, no, they're not scared. No, nothing. But this
Right.
makes, no, I don't know why.
We both are like, oh, dear Lord, we have to get on. And I'm like, and I do cuss a lot. Like, just my toxic trait as a person, I'm a cusser in my daily life. It's fine. On stage, I'm very clean, unless I'm telling a story that might require a damn or a hell, right?
Yeah, right.
But in my daily life, my brother's the Navy SEAL, and I can make him blush. I have a potty mouth. And my fear getting on every podcast is that I'm just going to start raining nasty mess words. I don't want to get the big E next to our podcast name for explicit, but I dropped the F-bomb. I'm sorry, y'all. So I think about that so much when we come on air.
I just always feel like I'm trying new material. When you go, when I'm doing a podcast, and you wouldn't think, because we talk on the phone and don't miss a beat and could talk for hours. But for some reason, now I feel like I'm trying new material, and it's and I don't have any. That's the thing. We're just here in the moment. I don't have any material. So
right. Hey, maybe we'll both get over that, because I get imposter syndrome. Like and we talk about this the last episode, but it's something I deal with all the time. Why would anybody give a foot what I have to say? Like, I literally will have a full-blown panic attack. And I said to my husband, Jace, right before I came out, I go, we've got to go out and do the podcast with Karen. And I go, I'm just so nervous. He goes, you just came off QVC with 12 million people watching you. And I just gotten off a live. And I go, this ain't the same thing. And he was like, yeah, I know. Like, looking at me like, yeah, dipstick, what are you stressed about? And I'm with you. It doesn't register the same. I think because to me, this is so intimate's a weird word, but intimate's like moist. 2 words I don't really care for. I'm making a weird face. I'm doing it. My grandmother hated the word. This is an inside trick. My grandmother, we called her Mimo. My Mimo hated the word moist so much that if you ever bought Duncan Hines cake mix, because it said deluxe moist on it, she'd make you return it to the Piggly Wiggly. I swear to God. She'd go, we can't have that in the house. And you'd have to go back and get Betty Crocker.
She detested the word that much. Yeah.
Hated it that much. So if everybody knew, don't buy her a Duncan Hines because they have moist on the packaging, and she'd lose her mind. So I might have gotten it there.
So you called your grandmother Mimo?
I did, because she thought Mamaw sounded tacky.
See, mine was Mamaw.
But you see, I think Mamaw is fun. Like, I love a Mamaw, and she didn't like Mamaw because there's this mean neighbor lady named Mamaw, and she said it sounded tacky.
But that's old-timey. I mean, now people want to be called, Bunny. Yeah, Gigi, Go. Bunny. I know someone who's Bunny.
Oh, I know a Mia. My Aunt Sissy goes by Mia. And I was like, okay. And I grew up in an Italian household. So my great-grandmother was a nonny. So you already had a nonny, which is Italian for grandmother.
Uh-huh.
So my Mimo didn't want to be a nonny because that in her mind was an old-timey. Okay. Yeah. So I was like, and my Mimo talks like this. And she'd go, I'm not Italian. I want to name it in Italian. And I was like, well, first of all, it's Italian. She really drove home the eye.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I don't, look, I've stepped kids, so I don't have grandkids yet. Thank the Lord, tiny baby Jesus. Because I told Jace, he was like, have you thought about your grandparent name? I said, that's why I didn't have kids. No, I wanted to be fun and fresh forever. I'm a professional Aunt Trish. And he goes, well, you're going to have to come up with a grandmother name. And I was like, I don't need that kind of pressure. I want to be an old-timey person before I have to think of
I know.
grandmother name. I was like, what I know so far in this life is that was not on the list of stuff I cared about. Grandmother name. Oh my gosh, it's so stressful. I don't know how people decide that. They let me decide because I was the first grandkid.
I only have to worry about grand dogs, so
See?
they can, yeah, and that works out.
And I will say, and your Aunt Karen to our dogs. So
Yes, and Aunt Trish.
and I'm an Aunt Trish, and I'm a
Yeah.
professional. Y'all, as we haven't even tackled the episode topic yet, but that's okay because I like when these things go off the rails. I'm a godmother to 5 godkids. I strategically agreed yes to those 5 godkids because they are not actually friends, none of those people. So if any of them all died, unfortunately, in a fiery crash, they wouldn't all be together on a trip. Like, I knew they all wouldn't be on a cruise ship and I'd inherit 5 kids.
Yeah, right.
Right, and be the little old woman that lives in the shoe. So I strategically have 5 godchildren that don't like hang out. The families don't hang out. But the oldest godchild just became a NICU nurse. Like, she's now a NICU nurse in Texas. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I feel like you were just birthed. So now I feel 170
Yeah.
because I didn't raise her. And now she's tending to little sick babies and is brilliant and has a heart of gold. And I'm like, oh, okay. I remember when I was drinking a Slurpee and your mom was having contractions in the delivery room. And I was like, how long is this going to take? And her mom wanted to kill me. I didn't know. It's like, I think that's the cool part of not maybe birthing kids, was you kind of feel evergreen and all that. That's what I know about not having, or I call it being child-free, because I have chose to be child-free. And then I married someone that had a bunch.
Funny how that works out,
Boy, the Lord loves it.
Yeah, love takes you where it takes you. Whatever that means.
Okay, we went on a good morning tangent, but that's okay because this episode is about how you're going to start your year off for us this year. How you're starting your year off in 2024. I know we're a little bit into the year, but that's okay because really I think usually right around the February anyways when everybody's like, oh, everything's kind of slid. I had these great big goals. And here we are. So what about you, Kay?
Well, I can tell you this. I'm not traditional when it comes to resolutions and that kind of thing. Because I cannot change my mind if I am cold. And
what does that mean?
I can't make changes. I can't even change my mind. I can't do anything big that if I'm cold. So my changes, I'll try to make tiny little accumulative changes that will hopefully add up by spring, because spring is when I can start doing something more constructive and productive than I did in the previous year. But I cannot do it in January and February.
You're too cold.
I'm too cold. Yes, literally. Too cold.
I co-signed that with Lil K because I moved back to Southern California from the South, from Atlanta, because I was cold. And I don't mean cold. I mean COWD cold. It's just so cold. Like your snots froze. You can't make a decision. Like, it is a time to hibernate. Like even the bears are like, we can't do it. I'm going to take to the bed. Bears take to the bed.
That's right.
That's a great, you know what? I didn't really even think about that. That is really true. It's a good time to rest and not make all this change.
Yeah, I feel like I'm setting myself up for failure because I know me. After many, many years, I know me. And what I'm going to do is I still making little changes to do better, but I feel like I do that all year. I'm always trying to reassess my life and see where I can do better. So I continue to do that. And then, and if there's a jumping off point to really try to do something, a big change, and that's going to happen in the spring.
Okay, so okay, and I love that because there's something to that. It's like burying what you plant. You're burying it basically.
That's right.
About right? Get a little water, sun shows up. You buy boom. I mean, there's something quite a farmer's almanac to that.
I think so.
Okay, so tell me, what is your top line? Like, what's the top line thing you've planted going into?
Well, for one thing, I want to start investing more in myself.
I love this. Oh, I'm digging it.
Okay, and when I say that, in a lot of different aspects, financially, because I just feel like I'm not getting any younger, and some things that I want to make happen. There's some additional financial investments that I need to make in myself to see that happen, and then also health and well in every aspect. I want to invest more in me because I'm a caregiver. I take care. I have
Well, not she puts herself last almost always. I will give you, and that's not like, oh, congratulations, but you do tend to everybody so much that you tend to put yourself at the very last of the list.
And if I go down, everyone goes down. And so I just know that for me to be the best I can be, I've got to have, and not just self-care. Yeah, I get massages. I do all those things already, and I will continue to do those things. But there's, time investments and the time when you have to say no. I just can't do that right now. So it's hard. It's hard for me. I playing basketball, I was point guard. I was an assist person. That was what I did and have always done in my life, is try to assist other people. And my year, I believe this year, I want to invest more in me.
I got a goosebump, y'all. You don't understand. I've done hard time with little K. Hard time. And to hear this come out of her mouth, I am beyond tickled. And I think everybody can take away from that, where you look at where are you not investing in yourself, right? Where are you putting yourself last on the list? Because like you just said beautifully, if you go down, honey, they all go down. And I don't mean like I'm so indispensable, but guess what? You are when you don't take care of you, and there's no more to pour into because your well's dry.
That's it.
Nothing there. Oh, Karen, I'm so tickled.
So we'll see how it goes, but that is what I intend to do. And as I said, little things to start out the year. I'm already doing some things that,
Share one. Can you share? Because pause.
Okay, so midway through episode 2, we have figured out a little
even better
about what the hell we're doing.
Hey, you guys, if you listen to the very first part of this, again, we had no idea. It was like open mic night in the laundromat. You could hear the dryers clicking. You could hear people folding jeans.
Playing pool in the background at a comedy club.
And then right about halfway through, when Karen was about to drop the nugget of information of the change she was making, one of the changes to put herself first in 2024, we fixed the audio. You're welcome, America. Girl, we're getting it together. Look, they can't all be gems, right? This isn't our greatest hits yet. It's episode 2.
Yes, and anyone who's ever done anything and it took them a minute to figure it out, then they can relate to what we're going through.
Boom. And Karen and I, this is the hard part for you and I, Kay. I can speak for us on this. Karen and I are such perfectionists. It kills us both right now to not go back and do this entire episode over. But we've made a grown-ass decision.
Well, and how many times have I done nothing because it wasn't perfect? When you put things out, you got to put it out there and, let the chips fall where they may.
Preach on that. Yes. Good. Seriously, you could do a whole sermon. I know I could just sit and go, testify, preach on. Because there are so many times. This is a little tangent, and I'm going to make little Kay answer the question in just a second about what she's doing for her changes in 2024. But this beautifully said, this is a great testament to how many times I have not done something and let a great idea fall by the wayside because it wasn't perfect. It wasn't, I overthought it to the point that I had analysis paralysis, and I let something that could be flushed out, be really good, just die. And man, we're not doing that no more in 2024.
we are putting out this imperfect podcast.
Yes, we will. This episode shall be called 2024, the Imperfect Year.
And it'll be so much better because of it.
That's right.
Yeah.
There are so many things you've got to learn and do. And the irony is, when you're crafting a joke and you're on stage and you're working one out, we obviously know that they're not perfect yet because we're working that particular joke out. That, to me, I have less fear over than getting on a podcast where I have far more control of the situation and doing something new. And I find it very funny that we technically have a generally feared job for a living, as far as people's worst fears is getting up and doing stand-up. And I have less fear over that than I do this podcast.
Well, and part of the paralysis for me is when I'm doing stand-up, you can't go back and redo it.
That's right.
You've had to roll on. So, but here I would keep going back. It's still not good.
Yes.
Not good enough, and just never get it done. So, that's one of the beauties of stand-up. You can't say, "Oh, stop. We're going to do that again. That wasn't right. I could have delivered that better." I mean, it's the moment's over, and you got to keep moving.
Karen, just repeat that piece of wisdom. And for y'all that didn't just hear what Karen said, and I think because it is, like you just said, it's our jobs. I've never, and besides stand-up, I also work in live TV. There are no take-backs. There's no do-overs. And I love live because it requires you to be intentional and listen and do the work. So in hosting and talking with another person, you can't just get up with your agenda because you could sound like an absolute dipstick if you're not listening. And with comedy, the same thing. Once the train's left the station, honey, you can't back her up on the track.
Nope.
So what you just said was so powerful because I went, I've never thought of it like that. Will you please say that again if you remember what you said?
You really think I remember what I said?
Reasons I love Kay. We were just talking about, we can't remember what we had for lunch, and I'm sitting here asking to repeat. You just beautifully had it said, and I'll jack this up, but that it's when you have the ability, or you have the ability to do over or start over, we're all more likely to keep doing it till it's quote unquote perfect. But because we've chosen this job for this career that we don't get do-overs, man, we take bigger swings because we don't get do-overs. And wouldn't it be great if we did all life like that?
Oh, and I'll get someone will call and say, "We need a shout-out video that you're going to be in Atlanta," say, whatever.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you the amount of dread I have over a 30-second shout-out video because I know it's going to take me too long. It will take me an hour to do a 30-second because I will have on my phone at least 30 takes on saying, "Hey, everybody, I'm going to be in Atlanta March 9th." I mean, whatever. It's ridiculous. I don't even know. I get so disgusted with myself over that.
Oh, this Karen, it makes here. I'm laughing out of commiseration. Like when you know that you do the same thing, and sometimes you think, I'm so alone. I'm so alone because no one else sits and like agonizes over something. What I would assume is like I start telling myself it's ridiculous because I'm making a yarn out of nothing. I've got this little bee string and I've made it a whole sofa because I'm like, oh, Lord, this has to be right. I think about all the things I don't do because of the perfection poofs I have to put on it to make sure it's perfect and then never get seen. Or Jason will be like, why didn't you do that? I'm like, I don't know. And I just freak out and I freak out. And so I think what I know so far is this year for me is going to be listening to the fact that no one's perfect. I'm certainly the least of them. Even when I think it's perfect, it still can be fixed. So we're just going to put out the things and work on it. Doesn't mean don't do your homework. It doesn't mean don't get educated and do research. It just means we're all learning as we go. We're all figuring it out. Ain't nobody got it all figured out.
No, everybody's out here winging it. And that's part of what my, if you want to call it a resolution, just changes I'm looking to make, is to take more risk. And that involves anything that I would overthink or put off or think I'm not ready to do yet. I mean, I'm just going to keep going. Every show I do, there's at least one new joke, at least one. And that's
I love that. That's a great, you know what? That's a great resolution. I might have to adopt that.
And whatever you're doing. I mean,
that's a great
job. Not a comedian, but whatever anyone's doing.
Maybe it's just saying hi to one new person that day because you're somebody that just is introverted and you don't want to say hi. And you feel like I pass that person every day in the office and I don't even bother to say, hey, how are you?
Yeah, or
It's just
giving a
something.
compliment, just a moment of kindness, anything that
Yep.
it will uplift your life. I mean, it will make your life better.
I am going to try very hard because I know it will be tough for me. I'm going to try. Jason and I are going to do it together because I have to go on the road. But when I'm back, we're going to do the 21 days no complaining together. And I mean, y'all, that means like you can't even be like, oh, I stubbed my toe. Ow. Oh, a sore back. Like you can't complain about we're going to do 21 days no complaining. And
I like that.
I'm petrified, Karen. I love to bitch about an airline. I love to bitch about somebody coming on an airplane with a tuna sandwich. I didn't realize how much I love to complain for commiseration, not for like I'm a complainer because I'm a pretty positive human being, but I realized how much I do these little deposits of negative Nancy. Sorry if you're a Nancy, but just negative. And I was like, I gotta knock that out. Like why do I think that's okay? And I didn't realize how much I was doing it until, and I was just with my girlfriends and she was, I've never heard you complain so much, me of all people. And I was like, I clutched my invisible pearls, Karen, and was like, what? And she goes, you just usually don't complain like that. And I thought, I have been bitching about nonsense for probably 10 minutes. And I was so offended by my own behavior that I was like, okay, we're doing it. We're going to do 21 days. And you don't realize how much little things like somebody cutting you off in traffic. I mean, it's going to be an exercise for me, y'all.
Yes.
So I'm going to try. That's part of my like just really consciously not being a negative Nelly Nancy, just trying to really go, okay, what am I aggravated by? Should have left earlier. That's why I'm complaining about this traffic.
It's really all about you. But that's a good exercise for anybody to do.
Right?
Yeah, because just to keep you thinking, in a more positive way and focusing on not whatever's irritating you, but focusing on. And if you just get yourself complaining, just the fact of the awareness alone will improve your circumstances.
That's what I'm hoping.
And let me just interject this. Don't be apologizing to negative Nancy. You're talking to a Karen.
True that, sis. I know. Anytime someone's like, oh, there's such a Karen, I'm like, I have a darling Karen in my life. And not one ounce of her has ever been may I speak to the manager Karen. In my whole existence of knowing you, you are the last of the Karens that would be a Karen. I'm like, you are the ultimate rebrand for the Karens. They should actually make you that brand ambassador to rebrand the Karens. You are not on any level, I'm saying. Okay, wait. So did we cover, because I want to make sure we did. So you're going to do things that are more about putting you first and investing in yourself and taking more risks. Is there one specific thing you're comfortable speaking to that you're like, this is one that I definitely know I'm going to do this year?
Well, risk-wise?
Whatever thing you know that you're like, I'm doing this, I'm going to take this kind of swing in 2024 that for me is a goal to say, look, this is me investing in me.
Well, I'll answer that in two parts. One part is in terms of what I'm doing on a daily basis. Every day, I will take time. It doesn't matter what I have done all day or how tired I am. I will say, what have you done today to move yourself forward?
Love that.
And if I haven't done anything that I can name, before I lay my head down, I'll work on a joke, I'll send an email, I will do something that I can point to that I put out into the world, something that could move me forward.
Karen, that is great advice. What have I done today to move me forward? That's a great question for anyone, no matter what you do, no matter where you are, to answer.
That's right. I gave you professional examples, but sometimes that might be clean out that one drawer.
Oh,
that might be.
Honey, it might be cleaning out the kitty litter box because, Lord,
that's right.
Good night. There's some days you're like, this is the last thing I feel like doing. I've worked all day. I feel like shoveling cat poo poo. Guess what? Future you will be so proud of right now you for cleaning up that cat poo poo. I mean, it's just those things. You're right.
Clean out your closet, purge, whatever you need to do, because I think all your life works better when you have things in order.
Oh, look, Clearly, I've got some history in
I
that.
was going to say, you can speak to that.
Clearly, I've got some history in that. And there's nothing I will co-sign more than decluttering, moving anything. I don't care. I'm a piler. My toxic trait, besides cussing, is I'm a piler. I love to make a pile. I will make a pile out of anything. They could have used me back in the caveman times. I could pile a rock. I could pile paper. You asked me to pile something, and I'm your girl. We could live under my piles, and I will shift and move piles. And it's simply because I'm like, okay, well, and they're organized as all get out, but then it starts to look like Stonehenge. And so part of my 2024 rebrand is get it gone. If it doesn't move my story along, get it gone and elevate your space. Because the second you start moving stuff, it could be clothes, it could be papers. I don't give a foot. I don't care if it's your kid's shoe pile at the front door, and I call it shoe soup. When you see that pile of shoes that sends me over the edge, get a basket, contain those shoes. Do the things in your life that add order, and I promise you, you will see the energy flow. It's the weirdest. I sound like a woo-woo shaman, y'all, but I promise, reward. Jay Spencer, my husband, says all the time, reward what you want repeated. And he'll be like, babe, look at you cleaning up a pile. And I'm like, look at me clean up a pile. I'm just so tickled by it. But that is my thing, is I know that those piles are representations of the things going on in my brain that I'm not tending to. And so every time I tend to a pile, it's one more thing, like you just said beautifully, that you're doing to move your story forward. And it doesn't have to always be career. It could be in your physical space.
And it doesn't matter if it's career or not career focused.
Right.
When you clear out, you welcome in, and it can still help all aspects of your life. I am a firm believer that you can't bring good energy in till you get bad energy out. And too much stuff is bad energy.
That's right. Oh, I hope y'all receive that. Too much stuff is bad energy. And even they say you can't have too much of a good thing. That's actually not true. Because if somebody, look, I love a Van Leeuwen's vegan ice cream, and your girl ate a whole pint last night. It was delicious. I had too much of a good thing. Okay. And I stopped myself and said, you know what, girl, just stop right here. I'd have still loved it just the same, but I had to keep on keeping on and finish that ice cream last night, and I don't feel fabulous today. So you got to do things that your future self is like, she cares about me. She's doing awesome things for me. I love when I do stuff. Like, my thing at night is I have to have a clean kitchen. The living room could be a little untidy, but if the kitchen, it has to be spotless. When I get up to make coffee, or if Jace is going in to make coffee, I have to have a tidy kitchen. And every morning when I wake up, I'm like, thank you, girl. Like, as if I had a team of staff that keep it tidy. It was me. But I love that feeling of like, oh, I thought of myself enough to take care of this. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you feel that way, Kay. Like, there's stuff that I'm like, I cared about myself enough to tend to that. Like the ice cream last night, if I'd have just been like, I think, also don't eat out of a container. That's always a bad idea. I was like, you know what? And this was the worst part of all. And I'm going to leave you. That was my carrying on. Have y'all watched You Are What You Eat yet on Netflix?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. It's called You Are What You Eat. It's 4-episode documentary. And it's called The Twin Experiment, because they took obviously twins, and did this health documentary experiment because they have obviously the closest DNA. So it's the quickest way to do a study if you have them do 2 different diets to see how it would react, right? And we were so in by an hour each. We were finishing the second 2 last night, and I thought, oh, You Are What You Eat. Let me sit down with this pint of vegan ice cream. Help myself like a complete. I'm sure this is not what they had in mind. They were having people watch this. I will say it's fantastic. Please watch it if you don't change your ways after watching this. I'd be shocked. So please write to us and let us know if you watched You Are What You Eat, the Twin Experiment, and did it affect you at all? Do you feel like you'll change your ways? But I proceeded to watch it and eat an entire pint of ice cream. Yes, it was vegan because I'm allergic to dairy, but I was sitting there going, why did you eat a whole pint? Like, I should have scooped this out. And Jace was like, babe, don't be so hard on yourself. But then again, a future self, Trish, would have been super stoked if I just had a cup of it. So things I've learned about myself, you can't leave me to my own devices and a pint of ice cream because I think that's a single serving. So anywho, I'm learning to do things in moderation and not beat myself up when I'm not picture perfect.
And that's a wonderful way to be, because no one is picture perfect. And if you spend all your life beating yourself up, then guess what? Your life's over and all you did was beat yourself up.
That's right. Ain't nobody show up on the deathbed and go, you know what? She looked darling in those jeans because she didn't eat that half pint of ice cream. I ate the whole pint of ice cream and I was fine with it. And it's fine. I eat healthy 85% of the time.
Yes, you do. You eat healthy more than most people, so
I try.
ate
I
2
try.
pints, it would be okay.
You're kind. I've swole like a tick today from all that sugar. They're darling. If you haven't had Van Leeuwen, the ice cream's expensive. You have to take a second mortgage out to eat it.
But it though.
But Carrie, I'm sorry right now. When you get it, it's the chocolate. There's a chocolate honeycomb peanut butter. Originally, I didn't know I was even going to like those flavors. I was like, y'all, if you can get you some of this Van Leeuwen, Satan get behind me. And the dairy free, I don't even know what kind of voodoo angel unicorn wings they make it with. Because the whole time you're eating it, you're like, this has to have dairy because it's so yummy. It's one of my favorite treats. And so I just couldn't hit the off button. I looked like I was strapping on a feed bag. I ate it. It was delicious while watching a show about you are what you eat. So here we are. But that's what I learned about myself yesterday, because I was like, oh, I'm going to start doing all these, things to improve my life in 2024. In 2023, I made myself get back on stage because, as Karen knows, I had taken 2 years off. I moved to Atlanta. I had a friend pass away. Went through a divorce, moved to Atlanta, the COVID, and had a friend pass away, all in the matter of in 2 years. So I was just in a ditch, sideways in a ditch, and was not my best self. And so I stopped going on stage because I felt like I wasn't funny. I had nothing to say. And I promised myself in 2023 I would get back on stage, and I was petrified. Don't know why, but I was petrified.
Well, 2 years off can do that from stage. 2 weeks off can do that to me, getting on stage.
Oh, I do give myself the credit of getting back up even when it was like uncomfortable. And John Reap was so precious to me because, and I love John Reap. If y'all don't know John Reap, dear friend of both mine and Karen's, wonderful human, great comedian. But I had said to John, I'm so scared. And he goes, well, you're just going to come feature for me. And I was like, I started like vomiting excuses. And he goes, don't be ridiculous. You're going to come feature. And I was like, huh? And he goes, Trish, here's the truth. After COVID, I had to go listen to my own damn album to remember how to do jokes because we'd all been off so long.
Right.
He's like, so don't beat yourself up. Everybody just took time off. And there was this wonderful wave of like, yeah, like I didn't ever consider how all of us took off 2020, right? In comedy for not, and obviously we all took it off in our own way, but in comedy, especially, everyone had to stop. So I had made myself even farther back than I needed to worry about. And he was like, we all are sitting in the same boat. So don't. And there was this really beautiful, just, I think, inclusion, right? When somebody tells you they didn't know what they were doing either. And you think, wait, really? Because you're one of the best comics I know. And he was like, yeah, I just listened to myself a couple times. He's like, I was funny. I was like, oh my God, I love you. And that just took this pressure off.
Yeah.
Of like, oh, yeah, a lot of people had to hit a pause button. So I promised myself in 2023 I'd get back on stage. And not only did I get back on stage, I went and headlined a bunch for somebody that was petrified of getting back on stage for me. And now I'm like, what was I scared of? But it's crazy the things you can talk yourself into.
That's it.
That are nonsense.
Which is one thing that I'm trying to stop doing is negative self-talk.
Yes, Karen.
Voice in my head is an a-hole. And
an a-hole. Mine's an a-hole and a butthole and all the holes.
Yeah.
And just mean. That's what I used to say. And when I was little, I was not little. You know, when kids were bullies in school, little jackassy people and teenage mean girls in high school. I remember this mean girl. She will go unnamed, but I'm sure she's still a mean girl because some of them don't really grow out of it. She said to me some hateful mess, and I looked right at her, and I will never forget her face because I just stared at her, and I was like, that's it? And she's looked at me as if I was supposed to start crying or crumble or something. I go, that's it? I was like, girl. And I just did this like maniacal laugh. And I can remember looking at her just like getting leveled of like, why is she not remotely upset? And I looked at her and I said, girl, there's nothing you can say to me that I actually haven't thought through or thought about myself, because we've all been so hateful to ourselves. And so here's this nasty, mean heifer. She said, whatever the hell she said, can't remember what it was. But I thought, that's all you got? I've been meaner to myself. And that made me realize in high school, why are we so mean to ourselves? I didn't have the tools yet to work through that. But I remember thinking, that's all you got? Girl, I do worse on a Tuesday before I get here. You know, like when you realize how much hateful mess we've said to ourselves. And from that moment on, I was like, wonder how it is that you talk nice. I mean, I really, to myself, because I didn't know. We weren't equipped with that. Ain't nobody was worried about our feelings in school.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember very clearly thinking, this mean girl thought she had me. And I was like, sis, you're cute. You're cute. I could out-mean me any day of the week to me.
Yeah.
What about being hateful to somebody else? It was knowing how, unfortunately, you habitually get in this habit of talking to yourself. And you're like, who am I being mean to? I am me. Why would I be? If somebody else did this to a friend, I'd come fight them in the streets.
Right. And we talk, and if we were talking to a friend and they were feeling what we judge ourselves for, we would be saying kind things to them, where we say, we reinforce the negativity to ourselves. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to stop it.
Okay, we're stopping it. Number one is positive self-talk heading into the 2024. Okay. We're also investing. That's the other thing, right? You're investing into yourself.
Investing in ourselves.
Do you see the balloons flying on my screen?
I did see that.
Wait, let me see if this works, because if this works, I'll feel crazy. Oh, sorry. I did it to my husband the other day on a FaceTime and fireworks went off. Let's see if it happened. Now I just look like a dipstick. Is it doing it? Okay, now I just look like a dipstick. I did that to Jace the other day on a FaceTime and fireworks went off behind me. No. I'll just sit like this and wait for balloons again. Yay. I don't even know what's happening, but let's see if this works. Hold on. You guys, I'm a human emoji up over here.
You are.
If I could figure out how to do the unicorn right now, okay, I'd be beside myself. But no, not there it is.
Wow.
Thank y'all. I'm sorry. I took that brief interlude to just bring up some joy in our lives. Okay. So and if you're not watching this and you're listening, I was doing all the new FaceTime update emojis with my hands, like an absolute dipstick, the heart hands emoji, the peace sign, which gives you the balloons. If you do double thumbs up, it'll give you fireworks. If you give one thumbs up, it'll give you a thumbs up. I mean, I'm basically a giant 12-year-old. It's fine. I love that stuff. Okay, so our plan, Karen's investment plan in 2024, your whole vibe for this new year is investing in you and putting you first.
Yes, and that does not mean that I'm not going to do things I've done before in terms of people I help, none of that will change, except for I am just going to carve myself into the plate.
Yeah. This is and this is true for you because you're one of the most giving people I know, genuinely, as I've ever known. You just have now actually added yourself to the list, and not only on the list, you've put yourself up, I would say, at least in the top 3 priorities on the list.
I have. I think,
and that's a big deal for anyone, but most especially you, because you've constantly, your whole life, moved around for the comfort of others. I'll say this as a good friend, because that your friends see it, and until you see it, you're never going to go, wow, I do need to do that investment in me. And I'm really proud of you for knowing that it ain't, we're not getting more time. We're not getting more time, y'all. If nobody's told y'all yet,
Yeah.
We ain't
You
getting
haven't
more
heard.
time. Yeah, if you haven't heard the pro tip, best podcast ever, download We Broke the Internet, you're not getting more time. So you got to do the things that add value to your time, and you have to make the cut, because if you don't do it, man, you're not investing in the number one thing that's going to bring you joy. I mean, I had thought a million reasons why. Oh, should I even worry about getting back on stage? Should I worry about this? And I was like, why? It brings me joy. I'm not doing it because I'm like, I'm going to be the biggest comic in the world. Look, if that was some weird byproduct, cool. Like,
Yeah.
okay. Because you obviously want to make people happy. I don't do stand up to be like world's most famous. I do it because there is no greater high on the planet to me than making a room full of people think like-minded and laugh. Like, that level of joy for me, I've never found it in any other thing. I've seen beautiful things. I've heard babies laugh. I'll smell puppy breath. All magical.
Oh,
But
magical.
oh, magical. Have puppy breath if they bottled it. Karen and I both said we'd have an island somewhere if we could bottle puppy breath and wear it as a perfume. But being able to make people forget whatever goes on in their world collectively, humans that never met each other, and get them in one place and have them have a great time and feel good, I know no greater high to me.
Well, and particularly with this political climate, when you have a room full of people that are laughing together, they're not, they forget about all that, and they're kind, and they're having fun, and they forget about all that mess. And it's just so rewarding to have that energy exchange.
Yes.
It's a giving and receiving like nothing else, because almost simultaneously you're receiving that energy from the audience at the same time you're giving it.
That's right.
So it's so
beautifully, that is so beautifully said. That's so beautifully said, Karen, because it really is a energy exchange. And when you take it as such, there's and I always say, no, it just sounds so woo-woo, but it really is the truth, and it is for me the way I work. I have the great respect that you're giving me your time, and so when you give me that energy exchange, I give you everything I've got, because I know your time you can't get back. So I'm like, great, let's do this thing. So I'm tickled that you got a sitter and showered and put on fresh underwear, I hope, to come see me.
Yes.
So that's a big deal. And that's a big,
And they're getting something. They're getting laughter and joy and, a great experience, and forget what all the bad things going on in their world, because everyone has something.
Everybody's got something, and we don't take it lightly. We're tickled that you take the time to spend with us. We know what we know so far, and we're going to share it with you. We also want to know who y'all want to hear on the podcast, right? Like, who, if you have your dream sequence guests to be on what I know so far, who is it? We would love to know. I mean, we know what friends we're going to have on, but we'd love to hear who your dream sequence, like, who do you want to know how they're doing life and how they've been doing life? Tell us. We'll reach out. We'll start telling, if not, we'll make a campaign to get them on here.
That's right.
To
be like a Facebook campaign when Betty White got to host SNL.
Do you remember that? How great that was?
And it was so great.
I mean, look, my goal in life, I always say, when people say, what kind of career do you want to have? I always say, I want Betty White's.
Yeah, exactly.
I want Betty White's. Betty White never had kids. Yeah, she was America's grandmother, right? If you think about Betty White, got so many iterations of who she was, because she was a singer, a dancer, she was all the things, and she loved animals. The only thing I don't love is a lizard. Everybody knows that about me. It's fine. Reptiles are rough for me. They're rough for me. But I mean, all the other ones, I'll hug an emu. I love all the animals, just the reptiles I get.
Yeah, I can't have a snake.
Yeah, snakes and a lizard. I mean, but all other animals. That's why I'm like, I want a Betty White career. I want to tend to
and she worked right up to the end. I mean,
God willing, in the creek don't rise.
Yeah, what greater career. And I was telling someone the other day, I'm always, they asked me about retiring, and I'm like, oh, no, that's nowhere in my future that I see. And I always feel, even though you'll have questions, and that's part of the negative self-talk is, getting older and becoming irrelevant, all that stuff. But I don't know what it is, but I have something in me where I really believe that when I'm 100, that they'll remake Titanic and want me to be old Rose. I just always think there'll be a place.
Okay. That's the campaign we start right now. We find out what young director out there really was touched by Titanic. We're going to back into it year-wise, and you're going to play young Rose. So
Old Rose.
I'm sorry, old Rose. So at 40, we're in about 45, 50 years. But come to think of it, hold on. That director hadn't even been born yet. So as soon as that director's born, you're going to be
rest of the cast around me being
that's
old Rose.
Being old Rose. Girl, that campaign will start. We're gonna I'll be one of those little women in my 80s about that time going, we really should have Karen Mills. Who are we kidding? You and I'll probably still be on the road.
Yeah,
doing
probably.
fun shows. I'll be so tickled. I want us to be like the Lander sisters or some fun ass act that you're like, who gives a, like White Christmas? Like, let them do their sticky thing. We love them. I love them. That's what I want. All that. Here's what I know for sure. Comedy. There's comedy for everybody.
That's true.
Everybody. Like, I absolutely adore Ricky Gervais. I think he's freaking brilliant. I think he's one of the smartest. I love his heart. I love how much he loves animals. I know that he's all the places about religion, which is fun and spiritual. But I think as a comic, he's absolutely brilliant.
I do too.
And he doesn't even love women comics. He doesn't like female comics that much. He doesn't give them all the flowers that he should. He jokes about it all the time. Ha, ha, ha. But guess what? He does it in such a way that I'm like, you know what? I appreciate your humor. I freaking love the smartness of your joke. And why he may not be for everybody, I think he's great. And I love that he gives the actual class act answer. And people are like, oh, do you like this comic? He's like, no, just because they're not for you doesn't mean that they're not a great comic, right? Because there's somebody for everybody. And I think that's what's beautiful about comedy. Same with music. There's amazing musicians that I don't get them. There's a girl that came on yesterday up on my social media, and I was like, hey, I turned to Jace, my husband's a musician. I said, do you know this girl? And he was like, no. And to be fair, she's a Latin artist, right? So I was like, I'd never heard of her. Beautiful voice. She's a beauty anyway. She has 67.5 million followers. I didn't know she existed on planet Earth. And she's darling. Oh, she's darling. And I was like, oh my God, she's precious. Not my music. I'd never go seek out that music, but I found her just so good at what she did. Of course she is. She's selling out arenas. She's doing something right.
Right.
But I was like, I'm not like, oh, I should, because there's people I know out there that are like, I should be doing that. That should be my job. I'm like, well, good, go do the work, because obviously sister has, right? I looked at it and I thought, I love that I don't know you. I find you fascinating, and there's room for everybody. It's like 67 million people love you, and I don't even know you exist, and I think this is awesome. I wasn't like, oh, because there are people I know that go to like mean, nasty mess. Though life's too short. You've got to just go, that's so cool. You're so neat that this many people love you. I didn't know you existed. Now I'm tickled by you. Right? I wouldn't be the first one in line for one of her concerts because I don't speak Spanish well enough. I'd probably be like, you're killing it, but I don't know these lyrics.
Right.
You know, be like, please get this woman over here phonetically singing out of the arena. I'm trying to sing along. But I think there's what's really cool. So speaking of the fact that you'll be, honey, we'll both be in our 80s doing comedy, good. Because guess what? We'll still have an audience, because our crowd will be the ones that are like, yes, remember, I love when Trish Sir comes out to Gin and Juice, because that will be old-timey music. It'll be like,
Yeah.
we love that she comes out to Public Enemy. This is amazing. that old-timey rap. That's what I love. I love that there's something for everybody.
There's something for everyone. And a lot of times people, dog other performers or whatever, don't find what they do pure or whatever. I just feel like if you found a way to carve out a living and you found an audience for what you do, whatever it is, I don't begrudge you. That might not
That's
be
right.
my taste. It might not be what I want to do.
That's right.
I may not see the appeal, but good on you.
That's right.
As you always say, keep your eyes on your own paper. Worry about what you're doing and let anybody else go do what they're doing. It doesn't matter.
That's right. It ain't hurting you. Ain't hurting me.
No.
Eyes on your own paper, everybody. My papa had some gems. Although that one is actually from my friend Josh Sabera, and I loved that. He would always go. He as a writer, and his editor, as he would get worried about this and worried about that, would go, "Honey, what are you worried about? Eyes on your own paper." And I was like, "Oh." So, and that just stuck with me when he told me that one day. He goes, "I'm not going to implement it." Can you believe she said that? And I thought, yeah, that's genius.
Yeah.
That's absolutely genius.
And you can get it on our What I Know So Far T-shirt.
Merch, which is coming right up. Our
Yes.
merch that you'll be able to go to What I Know So Far. Both Karen and I have the links to those in our bio so that you can shop all the fun merch and, laugh along with us and wear the sayings that we all know we need to say. We love good merch as long as it doesn't say live, laugh, love. Or gather or home. Lord.
Lord.
Oh, Lord. The reasons I love us. Well, that's it. We've done a whole episode and couldn't be more thrilled about it. Y'all know what you need to do. We would be so tickled if you followed and subscribed. There's a little bell where you're listening. You can hit that for notifications. Just tap the little bell icon. Beep, boop. And we'd love that. We love whatever way you consume What I Know So Far, the podcast. And, of course, follow myself at Trish Sur, TrishSUHR on all platforms. That's how you find me. Karen Mills, how do they find you?
I'm Karen Mills Comedy on Instagram and TikTok, and Karen Mills Comedian on Facebook.
See that? And of course, we have the What I Know So Far pod that you'll be able to follow us on both. I was about to say, I almost said Footloose. I don't know what that is. I don't know what Footloose is.
We're back to the music. The old
Sure. Hey, honey, there was a whole song in my head. You can follow us on What I Know So Far on YouTube and watch the episodes, and of course on Instagram. But talk to us, subscribe, let us know what you think, what guests you want us to have on. And we promise we're all a work in progress. We love y'all so much. We're all just, being who we are and getting better every day. That's it. That's all we can do.
That's all you can do.
That's all you can do. We love you to pieces, everybody. Until next time, be good to each other.
Yes.
We're gonna be the